the war that's happening right now on plastic straws. Of course, this has been, again, like, there's wars, there's all these incredible, crazy things that has happened throughout history. There's so many different things to talk about, but now society is obsessing about plastic frickin' straws. And to me, the environmental issue is a very important one, but when it comes to government getting involved, it's an absolutely idiotic one, as we're seeing San Francisco banning plastic straws and cocktail swords. We also had in Santa Barbara that was offering jail time for plastic straw offenders with severe punishments as bad as 1 year and $1,000 fine for giving out one straw. And of course, California is trying to pass other ordinances and laws that would make it a criminal offense to give a straw to people unless they specifically ask for one. And to me, this is utterly ridiculous, because one of the major things that this is being propped up by is a statistic that the mainstream media is running with. We're talking about CNN, Reuters, Washington Post. 15 major media outlets are using a statistic about plastic straws that was based on research from a 9-year-old. You can actually see the New York Times article, how a 9-year-old boy's statistic shaped a debate on straws. And what he did was ultimately just called a bunch of straw manufacturers, and no one ever questioned the validity of his findings, which is being used by government as a way to justify this war on straws, which is really just another way to extort money out of people and throw them into the system, throw them in jail, and extort them and use them. And of course, we're talking about the statistic of 500 million straws being used in the United States, which again was done by a 9-year-old and never confirmed at all. And we saw some private businesses like Starbucks tried to take some initiative, and they decided that they're going to be having sippy cups, and they're going to be ditching plastic straws by the year 2020 or 2024. They have a different year that they're going to supposedly do this. And their new invention actually uses more plastic than they would have in regular straws. But the main point here, and of course I'm hearing that headline all over social media that this is stupid, that they're using more plastic. People need to also understand that the plastic and how they're shaping it and how they're using it would be a lot easier to recycle than it would a normal straw. But what we're seeing here ultimately is the government trying to fix a problem when it originally caused the problem. Because if it wasn't for hemp, if we were allowed to use hemp and there wasn't a big fix against hemp because it's so closely related to the marijuana plant, we could have biodegradable straws based off hemp plastic, bioplastic, that would naturally disintegrate and everyone would be happy. And this problem, again, just like most problems in the world that most people are facing, was originated by the government, mainly making hemp illegal, mainly going after marijuana because of some back-end business deals with the Hirsch family all the way back a few decades ago that ultimately made hemp illegal. And now we have frickin' plastic straws everywhere. And we can't recycle them. And it's causing a big environmental impact, especially if you look at the Pacific Ocean and a lot of the oceans that are mainly affected and around Asia and Africa and India, where a lot of the pollution actually comes from. Those issues, and this one is so convoluted. But for me, Jason, the main issue here is the government caused this problem. The solution is hemp. They made sure we couldn't have hemp because of Hirsch and his manipulation of the government, and now their solution is to throw you in jail and to fine you for using it. And that to me is the absolute definition of madness, Jason.
Yeah, and for those that don't know why Hirsch went after hemp, it was because it was a competitor for paper, and he was in the newspaper business, and he didn't want any competitors because he already owned all these paper mills. So now with the decriminalization of marijuana becoming likely federally, as Trump has talked about it, as big states like New York are on the verge of doing it, perhaps that's the solution. But Luke, let's read one of these super chats. I know there's 3 of them. I'll let you get to the other 2, but this one is pertinent. James P., thank you very much. Nothing about feces or needles, but no straws. Exactly. We're worried about something that is so minute, so insane, and like you said, up to a year in prison, $1,000 fine for a straw, and then it doesn't matter if you have a plastic cup, Luke. It's made of the same material, Luke, and like you said, Starbucks is like, we're gonna get ahead of the game. We're gonna get ahead of the national straw ban, and we're gonna have adult baby cups for everybody. Sippy cups. They literally call them sippy cups. I'm a grown ass man. I don't want a sippy cup, Luke. All right.
Well, it makes sense, but how the government acts and thinks its population is, they're pretty much treating us like toddlers and kids, and they're the worst abusive parents that you could ever have. Mm-hmm. They literally just kick over the garbage, look at you, be like, you threw over the garbage, and they start beating you up for it. This is what's happening with this straw thing. And of course, everyone's memeing about the straws, and they will not take away the straws. And ultimately, I love the memes that are going out there.
I bet you do. I know you love those
incredible.
Memes.
Yeah, we should have filled in this show with just the memes that I'm seeing on there because I freaking love them. Again, they're making the problem a lot worse because what needs to happen is that hemp just needs to be more utilized and would be a more effective bioplastic that would not only help the environment but spur up a different industry that wasn't causing a lot of waste. And there is a crap ton of waste, and it does need to be dealt with appropriately. And I definitely don't see this as a good solution. Anything the government does, not a good solution in my own personal opinion.
See, that's where we and you will disagree. I think that the government does
We'll talk about that. We can debate. We can debate about that later. Me and Jason have different opinions.
But let's read this super chat too, as it pertains to this story. Jesse Schmidt, thank you so much. You should do a video similar to Mark Dice's videos, getting San Francisco citizens to sign a petition to ban being poor. Anyone caught making less than the poverty line should be jailed. That would probably be a good place to do it, except for the fact that one of the quote-unquote memes I've seen this week, it's not really a meme, it's a bunch of people at a trendy little San Francisco coffee shop, eatery, eating outside, 5 feet away from a homeless man asleep on the street. And that's what happens when you have such a disparagement of the wealth gap. And that is a problem, Luke. I mean, that area in Northern California is insane to try to pay and live in. We're talking San Francisco here. And then also, in turn, has an insane amount of poverty, and then also makes insane laws like this one, banning the straw. They want to free the nipple, Luke. I want to free the plastic straw, friend.
Well, it's not only that, they have human feces everywhere. I think there was a report that there was over 12,000 separate reports of just human crap all over San Francisco. So, yes, the kind of distribution of wealth that you're talking about, the kind of inequality of wealth that you're talking about, again, Jason, I see it as a government problem since they incentivize and not only give tax breaks and grants and startup money to a lot of the mega corporations, including, the government's involvement in Google and Facebook and still current participation with Amazon as well is one of the reasons why they are dominating the market. And if it wasn't for government artificially putting these guys up because they play ball with them and they spy on American citizens and do all these other things, it would have never happened if we had a completely honest market. But no, we have communism, like the definition of communism, for the people that are interconnected with the government. And then we have regular capitalism, hardcore capitalism for everyone else. And to me, that's the picture that is wrong. And to me, if the government stepped out the way, it would be a lot better. But we could talk about that later. Do you want me to get into super chats, or should we get into the next story that we want to talk about?
Let's just do the super chats that are pertinent to this, and we'll go back to that big one. Actually, we'll do the big one at the end. That way we can jump to the next story. So, Avat says, I'm going to move to California and become a straw bootlegger. Well, you get out there, Avats. You get out there. You take it to the man. You sell those straws. You bootleg those straws. And then Primus81 just kind of threw his cash.
Imagine Jason being in jail and like someone sitting next to you. What are you in for? Bubble tea straws. Like, what are the bubble tea people going to do? Like, how are you going to have the stupid tapioca and all the other dumb crap that people clog down their mouth holes in these Asian tea places without the big straws that people use so much?
And you know what?
That's
They
the whole
looked into that. If you read these articles, Luke, one of the companies was like, well, we're going to go with this I forget what type of plastic was, but they found out that also was banned. Now, if they want to get metal straws or paper straws, they actually have those. They're also incurring a cost of 35 to 60% more per straw. Now, when a plastic straw costs them about 3 cents, and you go through 2 million of them a year, think about that. You're going to end up paying an extra couple $100,000 for those straws, so you're going to have to start charging more. People don't see.
Yeah, and where's the money going to? The money's going towards the state. And what is the money that the state uses? Ultimately, to screw people over and to push up their friends in the private sector. And no. Use hemp. Damn it. The private industry should be allowed to do what they want if they had hemp. We wouldn't have any of these problems, especially with stupid plastic straws. And there would be a lot less waste. There's a lot of waste. There's an environmental issue. There are independent people who are doing like straws that you could carry with you that are magnetic, that you could actually fold out and pop out. That's a great business idea that people are getting into. But ultimately, just have hemp. People, it's that simple. Just use hemp.